almost 11 months, ironically, of me into my 40th year. You see, 11 months into that, because I'm November 28th, and this was October the 16th, 11 and some days, I went to that particular no-self. And at that particular point, nothing at that particular point even mattered. And I tell a story about me and my mother. We got a certain relationship. A lot of people are estranged from their parents based on trauma, you know, based on the parents didn't do something and they didn't fulfill this and they treated them bad and all that. My story is quite different because I grew up motherfucking rich. You know what I'm saying? My family was well-to-do. So, well-to-do. And I had a storybook childhood. You know, motherfuckers used to come over to my house to play toys because I had 3 brothers and they filled up 2 rooms full of toys. So I didn't have the misfortune of having a life in poverty, but by me being in the rural South, being down in a small Mayberry town of Mullins, it was still segregated until the fucking damn near the 90s. So it wasn't no such thing as you can be this elite group of people playing with only rich kids. You played with everybody and you was all a part of the same, you see what I'm saying? Everybody lived in the same neighborhood. You see what I'm saying? But the point I'm trying to make here is I lived a storybook life and I didn't have any problems with my mother. You see what I'm saying? In the particular aspect that it would be the ideal mother that everybody else would want. But yet, me and my mother don't have no relationship whatsoever right now. Last time I talked to my mother was 6 months ago. And it's the strangest thing. Every time I'm talking to her, it's a race. She is steady trying to get off the goddamn phone like I got leprosy. And I know it's completely spirit. Because my mama knows that I only came down here through her to incarnate, but we don't have nothing to do with each other as far as her being my, you know. She used me to get to this, I used her to get to this planet, and that was our relationship. And between that relationship and her rearing me to an adult, that was it. So right now, as far as I'm concerned, my mother got 2 sons. One a year older than me, and one a year younger than me. But me, if my mother didn't give, if I don't call my mama in a year, you know what? It wouldn't even faze her. And when we do talk, you would feel that she would want to linger a little while. No, shit, she's ready to get the hell on off the phone. Now, what? It's a spirit thing, because the parents know, they know, it's just like they say these animals, they have to, if an animal won't accept an animal that's born from another, you know, like you have a lamb or a cow. If a calf is born from another, and they show this with sheep. If the sheep is born from another sheep or another lamb or whatever, the lamb is born from another sheep, whatever, that calf, the mother won't accept it. So they have to take the afterbirth and the stuff from the calf and rub all over, you know, the scent to rub all over the calf so that mother would accept it. Well, so in so many words, we're talking about some type of relationship. It's the same thing with my mother. My mother knows somewhere in her heart that something happened in the concept of her delivering me that she did not deliver. She did not deliver her own child. She only delivered a star child. And that makes the difference between you all and everybody in here that's into some type of consciousness. And there was the guy, George Michael. George Michael, you know, used to be with Wham and then went out on his own, the white boy. He wrote an album, had an album in 1996, and it's on the Greatest Hits album, and it's called Star Children. And he said, do not count yourself among the average people. And if your mother didn't love you, your father didn't love you, that's okay. They were not here to accept you so you can have a mother. Your mother is the universe, or your mother is the great mother. But it has nothing to do, its only relationship you have with that is, with her, is incarnating down here. Me, I just so happened to was able to experience the way this thing is, and it works out perfect. We get along fine. It's all cool. Everything is great. And she don't have to see me. If I talk to her within a year, that's cool. You see what I'm saying? So, but it's something spiritual. But then again, on the other hand, when I went to no self, I probably experienced the same disconnection from myself as my mother experienced being disconnected from me. You understand what I'm saying? Me being disconnected from my mother. And I'm talking about but I'm not talking about a traumatic situation. She put me out she put me out at 18 to go to college. At 18, and we hugged each other, and she kissed me, I kissed her for the first time in my motherfucking life. And it was an eerie feeling. It almost felt nasty. Like, ugh. She was like, ugh. Now, that might sound strange, but it's the spirit thing was going on. Because she knew, look, I brought you here, but you're not mine. You see, and that's the spirit thing. So, in so many words, it's a spirit thing to say that, you don't, it's conditioning you to say that if mine was a spirit thing, that I've always felt this, especially my adult, it means on the other hand, when it comes to you as spiritual people, you have to have a level of detachment also. Because that level of detachment, you see what I'm saying, prepares you for the realm to come. You see what I'm saying? And that's the problem why we cannot achieve that high level of spirituality, because we're too locked into some bullshit down here that distracts us. And family members is going to be the key to the shit. And fucked up children and your friends and all this kind of thing is going to be the key to it, to distract you. The other thing here is what is the programming that is put into your head based on career, based on occupation. So in so many words, they're hitting it, but the particular point here is he, on the other hand, going back, has created this reality for us. It's called career. Now, other than you just going into a job, taking advantage of an opportunity to make a lot more money than McDonald's, somehow we get caught in the actually thinking that that job is actually us, that job has some type of essence of who we are as a damn person. And that's what the ego does. It latches on to its surroundings for identification. So what the no-self did, you see what I'm saying? It was, when I went to this no-self level, it was able to neutralize what aspect of that. And I had very little, because I had been out of the system for so long, so I had very little identity into that particular life. But even to the point of the status of being a speaker, you see what I'm saying? Or the status of, do I sound like I have a lot of knowledge or whatever type thing? That has no bearing. That's not important. You see what I'm saying? The only thing was important was to get to the doorway to know self, to say, well, is this reality, to say that can we actually go to a level where we do not identify with ourselves anymore like that? And that is, and at that particular moment, that's when the freedom came. And let me give you an example. So that means that at that particular moment, that was the God level. Even it started happening even before I even knew it, because what happened is all of a sudden, certain people that was falling in love with me were spirits, goddesses, fighting over me. I'm hearing people come and shit, they say, there was a fight between Oshun and Yeminya over me. I'm like, well, goddamn. This Lakshmi shows up lately, they say, oh man, she loves the fuck out of you. Then her Zuli shows up. She said, oh, man, you my favorite. And I'm saying, well, what is this teaching? Because this has nothing to do with the earthly woman. These are spirits. And what is this teaching? It means in an actuality that I must have morphed into or evolved into a spirit being enough that I could have direct contact and interaction with some cosmic babes. You see what I'm saying? And that, with some cosmic babes. And that's, you see what I'm saying? And that's, and I don't even know, I think that when I heard particular aspects, and then you know, and I ain't even talking about the sex. That's another whole realm. But when you get into that particular realm, you see, it's teaching us that there is a life beyond what we know as physical. And we still ask this particular question. Why is it that the people we love that die and we cry so much, some of them don't knock down the door to get back here to see your ass? You see what I'm saying? We have some people that's so close to you, and when they leave, you don't never hear from them no more. You see? Well, not only did they receive a better way of life, or freedom that they didn't know, but on the other hand, they're detached from you because they realized that only knowing you in this physical world was only an illusion and only a role, and it really wasn't that important. You see what I'm saying? About like must be my mother must understand that, you know, I got my separate world I'm in that I got to deal with, and you doing what you got to do, and you being my son Bobby Hemmitt is really not important. You see, the only thing what's important is the spirit. You see what I'm saying? And I don't have to need contact. You have to contact you every 5 minutes for me to know that you're all right, because the spirit is indestructible. Indestructible seed. So even religion's got that shit all wrong. The whole concept of you going to burn in hell. And the origin of fire is the soul. The soul is the sun. Solar, sun, soul, fall. It's the sun. The concept of the fire or the energy of what you call the sun or the soul is the fucking fire. So how can fire burn up? When it is what is burning. You see what I'm saying? You no longer have a physical body. So we're talking about people, even in the religious sense, never graduating beyond Sunday school. You see, graduating beyond Sunday school. You see, this is very key. So we're going to get into some things. Let me post some libations right quick. This is just to give the gods theirs. Y'all all right? You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, it's still we got to make a good tape, and so this is good. Different things. We'll start out with, it's interesting here because we'll start out with a series of boats or ships. I'll start out with, well, you know, I'll spit the rum. Now, it's interesting here because we do have a new tape called Voodoo Secrets that came on the History Channel. And what I did was I ended up putting about 3 or 4 different rare shows on the History on the channel. And it's very key because when you see the voodoo practitioners in Benin, Africa, you just see them constantly spitting the rum or the gin or whatever it is and stuff like that, which is vital when it comes to alcohol. You see, when it's come to alcohol, even the guy, what's the guy name? The brother that wrote the book about the Yellow Book on Melanin. Yeah, something like T. Owens Moore. What's the guy name? Something more. More. Anyway, he talks about how even him studying the concept of melanin, he says that there's some reaction to alcohol and melanin, and I'm not talking about a negative aspect, that it has the same properties as far as what they talk about spirits. And that's why they call it a spiritus. You see, they call it spiritus, which is spirits. You know, you see they say wine and spirits and all that. And it's key when you go to Benin, Africa, you know, they blow the alcohol and they spit the alcohol, you see. So the European and later cultures, it would give you religions that would get away from that, they're really dumbing down people, are actually taking the energy up out of it by getting away from the whole alcohol thing and stuff. It's like, but you remember now, they used to do it at the turn of the century here, where they dealt with the wine, at communion, and it was Welch's, the guy who fermented the grapes, or stopped fermenting the grapes and just used the regular grape juice, and as a result, that crippled even Christianity, who used to do it, but them Jews never stopped doing it. You see what I'm saying? That's how you even see Manischewitz, Jew wine. You see? So they never stopped doing the whole alcohol thing. So this thing goes all the way back to Africa, and it's vital when it comes to when it comes to contacting the spirits and stuff like that, which is very key. So let's pour some libations right quick. Just a few of these and all. And this is still to this day a great way to also neutralize and clean your home with, you know, certain amount of libations will also neutralize certain amount of energy also. So let's pour some libations, and then we'll get on with this thing. Y'all all right? All right. We'll start with Urzuli, Ashe. Lakshmi, Ashe. Ishtar, Ashe. Anana, Ashe. Satyo, Ashe. Oriole, Ashe. Medusa, Ashe. Labado, Ashe. Luigi, Ashe. Atama, Ashe. Orawado, Ashe. Powa, Ashe. Ogowadi, Ashe. Leowa, Ashe. Godugo, Ashe. Biwasta, Ashe. Amatis, Ashe. Awudage. I say Brigida, I say Segum, I say Keku, I say Haniel, I say Tarek, I say Dagan, I say Henai, I say Aduma, I say Jos Harris, I say Ishtar, I say Monu, I say Noku, I say Mana, I say Imatu, I say Titi, I say Joba, I say Otincha, I say Tiacha, I say Oshumala, I say Omagumu, I say Alcala, I say Lokeo, I say Kakumbo, I say Lalila, I say Owalensa, I say Babylonia, I say Aya, I say Ayo, I say Elmalek, I say Drakon, I say Notorio, I say Xanthes, I say Kasimbo, I say Nisabab Isala, I say Pazuzu, I say Lucifer, I say Anubaresh, I say Ilhalo, I say Pele, I say Maya Tech boat, these are the boats, Sektek boat, Seka boat, Heru boat, Heru boat, Nebhert boat, Hin boat, Af boat, Himbu boat, Sut boat, Amin-Ra boat, Antu boat, Osar boat, Aset boat, Newt boat, I say Mut boat, I say Air boat, I say Cement boat, I say Matic boat. Okay, we can do some Native American spirits. Mashula, I say Mama Pasha, I say Shieska, I say Coco Mama, I say Leoa, I say Altair, I say Kotiku, I say Sancho, I say Genoita, I say Dambalawado, I say Edoado, I say Alatan, I say Aka, I say Anunabaka, I say Lumadek, I say Stati, I say Babetta, I say Madava, I say Madrid, I say Malava, I say Francisco Chirres, I say Antisomuta, I say Spiritual Trepas, I say San Simon, I say Los Spiritus Tranquilos, I say El Cristo Negro, I say El Cristo Rey, I say, there's a few more I'm going to deal with. Down Balawedo, I say Edowedo, I say Simbi, I say Bridget, I say Guade, I say Neba, I say Yinya, I say Bass, I say Hut, I say Rabbit, I say Medusa, I say Pata, I say Tahuti, I say Anpu, I say few more, I say Shiva, I say Bani, Kasai, I say Adam, I say Gadesha, I say Seb, I say Ten Mahabadayas, I say Kali, I say Kalima, I say Kamalan, I say Melanion, Atalanta, I say Areskigu, I say Minerva, Gargan, Simbi, I say Arabi, I say Tanit, I say Belit, I say Anana, I say Ishtar, I say Adadi, I say Ashura, I say Enes, I say Babao, I say Yaha, I say Elohim, I say Hekati, I say Demada, Prestili, Shifi, Zaytakuma, I say Benete, Gaya, Kundalini, Antu, I say Hermanuba, I say Pingi, I say Mepinet, I say Man, I say Baka, I say Dumuzi, I say Donis, I say Baal, I say Im, I say Tricerus, I say Cthulhu, I say Shub-Niggurath, I say Yog-Sothoth, Azathoth, Nilil-Hotep, Bacchus, Phanes, Cupid, Eros, Holocaust, Baby Buddha, Buddha, Krishna, Radha, Balarama, Sita, Rama, Agos Daemon, Metatron, Nagon, Mamu, Kulukulu, Nakumpa, Umbelinga, Umaba, Umawa, okay, Labu, Laamu, Tiamat, Apet, Apep, Tyert, Bass, Butchers, Dadoon, Duwalotep, Nekabet, Uwajet, Camafis, Kim, Sebek, Sabdi, Nomo, Ama, Neama, Ba, Na, Ka, Yugiru, Ata, Balkanet, say Bim, Durga, I say, I guess that would be good enough for right now. Okay, now, moving right along, what we'll just say for all entities known and unknown, it's on our side, J. We'll do with Layla, which is supervisor of space in the Islamic tradition that is very rarely mentioned a lot, also rarely mentioned also. Going right along, it's interesting here because dealing with certain aspects of melanin, when we get into a certain thing, there's this thing that comes on, it comes on National Geographic TV, and there's a show called Taboo. If you watch, it's called Taboo, and it was interesting here. We'll give a shout out to Arceti, because Arceti was an ancient Ethiopian god, goddess, that was rediscovered when a woman channels it in Ethiopia, which we rarely hear a lot of things on the Ethiopian or the Kushite type aspect of things. There's this entity called Arceti, which is interesting here, that came back, and they mentioned it in that National Geographic special. So that is one with the origin, and it's always great to find out when we get new entities that has some type of origin with the ancient world. So it's interesting here because that would be a particular person who was engaged in the Rastafarian type of aspect, other than Haile Selassie, you see what I'm saying, aspect of things that they can, if they want to beef it up and try to find out something of a much more ancient origin, then that would be the person that they can look into. Another one I realized at that particular time, there was one called Ptah Neta Unra, which is an Egyptian term which happened to have been an Ethiopian god that I talked about 10 years ago. The entity that got in touch with me and stuff. So it's always good to find new entities or something like that to tap into, to give us more and more on uncovering this research out of ignorance. And all. So that is interesting because that was in that particular Taboo. So look out for that. It's on cable. I don't know if they got the National Geographic channel here, but the Taboo, and they go into all different aspects of voodoo. Even had a show on Palo, which is also a show on Palo, which is also, and I think I forgot to bring that. I got a thing of that, which is also the Congo information coming from which would now be Zaire and different places like that. That would be one to look into is Taboo. There's a lot of things that they're dealing with now on cable, but they come on about 1 or 2 times, but they don't show them much. But what we're doing now, we are able to go in and catch a lot of this stuff on TV and put this stuff on cassettes. So this is some stuff that we engaged with it at this particular time. Now I don't know what the deal is, because you know you got this Seventh-day Adventist convention that was in town this weekend and stuff like that. And but it's interesting here because Sabbath is actually a goddess that they don't talk about in the book, Raphael Pate's book, Hebrew Goddess. Raphael Pate's book, Hebrew Goddess, is an actual goddess called Sabbath, which is very key. And I doubt very seriously if the people from the Seventh-day Adventists even know this type of thing, you know. But that's just interesting. They would have their convention this same time. But one brother was making mention that there's a lot of Africans involved in this convention also. So obviously they another group of people that's on the continent, you know, messing up the minds of the people with this type of thing. And I said yesterday how one brother's over in Ghana and said when he went into the bush to try to find some indigenous people, they was talking about damn Jesus. So that's just amazing. All of this also has to deal with something called, as far as this, when I was talking about, while we're trying to figure out the information on this side, there's some other stuff that's going on the other side. It's interesting because there's a river in the underworld called the Black River Styx. That's where you get Styx music from, or Stax music. And the Black River Styx is in fact nothing but the central nervous system in which the melanin flows up and down the central blood system. And that is the Black River Styx. The Black River Styx. So if in any type of way, when you read any type of Greek mythology and they talk about a black river or something like that, and anybody traveling in there, remember they're still talking about something that is inner in the central nervous system, which is very key. Very key. The next thing here is something called Techem, and this is very important because we talked about this yesterday. See if I got this thing. We talked about this yesterday, and I want to get another picture of this. Another picture. I'll show this picture again because this is very important because we have been really blessed in the particular aspect. And like we said also too, it could very well be the gods that had this to be done. Let's see here. The sudden impact. Like I said, I should have got this in black and white. I should have got it in black and white, where they blew up this particular comet. Now it's interesting here because we say, well, what does this comet have to do with us? But we understand that there's no such thing as space and time, and as above, so below. If they blew up this comet and the comet had certain particles that existed, before creation, then we talked about this yesterday, that this stuff being released in our blood system will accelerate the process. You are to go and read, even I think it's in the Sirius mystery. In the Sirius mystery, in any type of Egyptian type of mythology, maybe some Budge books has it in there, but it's in Robert Temple's book, The Sirius Mystery, where they talk about this substance called Techem. And Techem is a heavy star material. It's in the Sirius Mystery book. And as a matter of fact, this has a lot to do with the pharaohs because they will hold up a staff, and the staff will have a head of the god Set on it, and Set is the pre-dynastic deity where you get the word soot. And this word, T-E-K-H-E-M, Techem, heavy star material. And they would hold up this scepter that would be the god Set, or the pre-dynastic Set, which is the primordial god of all time. And the pharaohs used to hold up this scepter. That scepter is called the Techem scepter, or rod, or staff. So they were talking about this heavy star material. You later on filtered in our language down to stardust. Where do we get that from? Stardust. Where do these terminologies come from that you hear all your life about stardust? Number one, we're talking about melanin. That's the first thing we're talking about. But apparently the Egyptians was talking about a certain type of melanin. Something that is very dormant, something that is very ancient, and something that is very primordial that exists even beyond creation, what we have now. So something that goes far beyond the creation that we have now, the creation system. And it's the same thing in what these white boys, they said that they were trying to deal deal with the comet and deal with some stuff or particles that existed before the creation of this solar system. But yet, they call that Techem. And why did the Egyptians hold a staff up called Techem and heavy star material, which means that we're talking about reaching to something or tapping into something that is beyond our own reality. In this particular case, we see the witness of this Techem, or this heavy star material, you see what I'm saying, manifesting in our lifetime. So in so many words, this is almost like a prophecy coming true. This is almost like something that is supposed to, we know we're supposed to tap into. And even though the white boy has blown up this particular comet, and I talked about this late last night, that maybe it was a divine plan that was influenced by the spirits to get him to do it. And we know that the spirits can influence certain entities or certain people to do certain things. So this Techem is this heavy star material, is something that was prophesied in ancient Egyptian mythology, is something that would come about, or something that would come at the end of time, or come in some form of our illumination. It is the missing piece. Now, since this being a matrix or an illusion, which didn't come out with the Matrix movie, that is the basic of Sanskrit and the basics of ancient Egyptian and the basics of all ancient civilization, that this is an illusion, then what we are seeing that is in the illusionary aspect, there has to be a real counterpart to it. So the unleashing of this Techem, this heavy star material, is right and exact, and this is something to be celebrated at this particular time, because who knows what will happen, especially when the star Sirius rises this year. You see, when the star Sirius rises this year, we got forms of July 23rd. We got parts of it in August. More than likely, who knows? It doesn't rise the same time each year. So therefore, whenever it rises, because we're still in the early part of July, going on into the African New Year, which is around July 23rd, when Sirius rises, that also means that something else rises with it when there's something else that's in the atmosphere now that wasn't there last year. And all the stuff we talk about is some stuff that's on the inside of us. But going back, here was the same stuff here, Techem, which the Egyptians or the Kamites basically revered to a high level that they would put it as the staff, symbolic of what they would say the Pharaoh rules by. So they say in so many words, what makes a Pharaoh is this Techem. Now Pharaoh comes from the word Heru. You get the word Heru and you get the word Pharaoh, which means king, but they're talking about he's symbolic of something, not just a king that ruled in Egypt, but he was talking about symbolic of the rising of Horus in the future. And one of his symbols to represent that king was the Techem scepter, which is called heavy star material or stardust. Now this is interesting here because in India, they talk about the Sama, but they say not only is Sama king, Sama is what one person must need to become king. To become king, they talk about the Sama. Even the word Kingu, the blood of Kingu is where you get this first word king. Kingu is the husband of Tiamat, the great mother that is overthrown. And humans is made out of the blood of Kingu, and Tiamat, the earth and the heavens and all, is made out of the blood of Tiamat, the overthrown of the great mother. So here's this word Kingu again, or the blood of Osiris. So in so many words, they was talking about this royal blood, or this type of extraterrestrial form of melanin that was even revered and even looked upon him one day that this stuff would rise up to the pharaohs, that they would have a staff to celebrate the the domination of this particular Techem, and then we get this form of them blowing up this media or this particular comet. And it's the same concept of this particular form of the Techem. You see, again, you got Zion, and Zion is another word. The gates of Zion is another word for the gate, or the pearly gates is nothing. The pearl is nothing but they're talking about the pineal, pituitary, and hypothalamus gland in the brain. So the gates of Zion is the pineal gland. You see what I'm saying? So all of this particular part is talking about the same aspect of where this particular melanin is going to. Where this melanin is going to. It's just very interesting on how this whole thing is coming together. So on one hand, this is a great celebration and stuff like that, but the whole key here, as I was saying yesterday, is we got to look at this on an inner level. On an inner level. While we're here, before we go on, we need to, since it's such an intimate crowd, we need to take some questions right quick in the middle of some stuff, because I don't want people to have something in their head and then later on it leaves and stuff. So, is there any questions about anything you need to, anybody need to ask right now? What's that? Yeah. No. They said at this particular time, most of the movies they had, like Deep Impact and Armageddon, it was about this thing headed for Earth.